Okay, Theo, the last of the 2021s. This has been an amazing vintage for us to go through over the last few months and go wine by wine. And well, we're going to start our last batch with the 2021 Wildfoot Vineyard. And to me, this wine always has this beautiful, ethereal energy. And when you think of Stag's Leap, what do you look for in a wine that speaks to Stag's Leap for you?
So the tagline for the region is Iron Fist in a Velvet Glove. I think that Wildfoot delivers that every single vintage. Has this beautiful burst of gorgeous blue and black fruit, really smooth, silky tannin, gorgeous finish. You're getting a little bit of that mineral note from that Stag's Leap beautiful rocky volcanic soil, as well as this lovely sort of mountain meets valley. You know, you've got intensity and then you've got that smooth, fruity, lovely silky finich.
You know, it's got the power and intensity of 2021, but what I love about Wildfoot is it's different than most of Stag's Leap for me, because with Wildfoot we end up with amazing pure fruit flavors, and you get some of that iron and minerality, but it's the blue fruits, it's the boysenberry, it's the way the fruit just attacks the palate on this wine that gives it so much purity. It speaks to that site, that one little block. So this vineyard is right when you turn off of Silverado Trail to go up to Schaefer. It's the block right on the right-hand side. And it's got a little piece of red dirt. And it's almost as like Jeannie Phillips took part of Tin Box's red dirt from down by the house and moved it to Wildfoot in Stag's Leap. And it has that red soil that just gives us this pure, beautiful fruit profile. Tannins are there, acids there. This is just a complete wine from Stag's Leap that has the purity of fruit from Oakville, but it has that traditional Stag's Leap texture profile to it.
Absolutely. And I think that in keeping with the 21s that we've been tasting before on the releases, the 21s Wildfoot has a little bit more. It's just more. It's more fruit. It's more ripe tannin. It's more silky textures. It's more plush. It just delivers on all the points across the board.
It's exuberant. It has energy. It's got all of that beauty in it. This is a wine anybody can open for a novice, and the novice is going to say, this is different.
Delicious.
It shows the excellence of Stag's Leap with the little bit of twist that Bevan Cellars likes to put on it.
Cheers.
Curmudgeon. And as you would expect from a wine named Curmudgeon, this wine has there. After the Wildfoot, which had all of that fruit and push through the palate, this is a wine that has weight and intensity. And doing them side by side, I love the attack of fruit from Wildfoot, but with this you get attack of fruit on the palate, and it's a blend of both Sage Ridge and Sugarloaf. And from Sage Ridge, we're on the back side of the vineyard that's east facing, and it's straight up and down, and it's a site where normally you would think, oh my God, this wine's going to be so tannic. What's so cool is it's clone 169, and I'm not a fan of clone 169 on the valley floor. It's too elegant. The aromatics are always beautiful, but on the valley floor there's no tension, there's no weight, there's no power. Because we're on the backside of this mountain and it gets pounded by the first sunlight of the day, and it's on this rock pile of a vineyard, you get the beauty of 169 with all that power. Then you add the Sugarloaf, and we're using the two press barrels, and at Bevan Cellars we press sweet. So our press barrels aren't overly tannic. Our press barrels are oftentimes our most desirable barrels. And so we're using a little bit of the press to also give this wine weight. And I don't know about you, Theo, but I feel that weight manifests itself in palate pull. It comes up. You get all that tannin in the back, but it pulls up, and you feel that skin tannin from these two sites that are just so rocky, and it gives you that oily front palate power. So we're looking at a wine that texturally is demanding. What do you think about the flavors and aromatics?
I think the flavors are fantastic. I agree with you about pulling that tannin forward. I get it right on the front sides in my mouth. I love the term oily as well. It's very viscous and luscious. I get beautiful red currants big time in this wine, and also probably a lot because of the Cabernet Franc, but the Cabernet Sauvignon from Sage Ridge tends to have a lot of red fruit.
It's way red.
And it is bright, it's mouth-watering. It is really, the acidity is on point in this wine. It's a big wine, but it's gorgeous, and it's so silky on the finish. It's luscious and delightful.
It's a hearty Sunday wine. You get up before you go to the gym, you run to the store, you get all your ingredients for your mirepoix, you do your braised short ribs, you put them in the oven and you let them cook all day. When you get back, you pull the cork, you start drinking this while you're finishing your recipe, and then you've got something hearty enough to stand up to all that fatty, rich, meaty goodness from slow cooked meats. Curmudgeon's a powerhouse. Red fruit, it's a bit of a contradiction. You don't think of red fruits with wines that are this dense and powerful, but it's got that. This is a unique, singular wine that we craft to have the power to go with big dishes, but showcase the beautiful red fruits that you only get in certain sites.
And I think it delivers that 100%. Beautiful bright red fruit, beautiful firm tannin. The ripeness level is lovely. It's just going to get better as it gets older.
This is a 10-year wine. At least it's showing beautiful right now. I would think it hits its stride earlier than the Wildfoot. I think the Wildfoot hits its peak drinking window in 4 to 5 years. I think the Curmudgeon, because of the red fruits, is going to be ready to go almost right off the bat, especially if you're doing it with a big hearty meal. This is a wine that you want to pop, you want to pour, you want to share with people you love. Theo, I wish we weren't doing a video on this wine. I don't know what to do. We made 75 cases of Dr. Crane. If you're watching this video, well, you're on one of the lists that say we want you to have this wine. If you're watching this video, please note there's not very much of this wine. With that said, let's talk about the wine. It's Dr. Crane. So yesterday I was with my wine posse and my group of winemaker friends. We sat down for our annual get-together to discuss the vintage and the excellence of the vintage, the challenges of the vintage, and we spent 7 hours tasting great wines, talking about the vintage. And one of the wines that we popped was the 2015 Haut-Brion. And I never ever want to say that I'll make a wine worthy of Haut-Brion, but this reminds me of the 2015 Haut-Brion in the fact that it's the tertiary flavors. Unlike Wildfoot and Curmudgeon, fruit, this shows breadth. And if you had to ask me, name the most obvious dominant flavor in this, I don't know what I would say. It's got so much stuff that competes for your attention. And then it's got the textures. And Dr. Crane to me is about textures. That vineyard is so singular in the way it feels. Theo, in the most polite way possible, tell me about how this feels in your mouth.
Well, I wasn't invited to taste the 2015 Haut-Brion, but I can tell you that this is just delicious. And I think it's lovely. I think it's rich, vibrant, full, classic Bevan Cellars style of Dr. Crane, which is very different, by the way, from many other Dr. Cranes that are made. And just mouth-filling, that plush, beautiful style. I get a ton of espresso in this right off the bat, which is really interesting. And that black fruit, dark blue fruit, more like a boysenberry. You know, but right now, what it's showing me is tannin, coffee, a little cocoa, dark fruits, beautiful texture on the mid-palate, beautiful finish. Really, really lovely.
It pulls. This wine pulls the palate. It forces the front of your tongue to pay attention. With all of the other wines, Curmudgeon, its power, with Wildfoot, its energy, this wine pulls you into it and it keeps your focus on the front part of the palate, and then those tannins just come back and build and build and build. This wine will age effortlessly for 20 plus years. We've recently tried the 05 Bevan Cellars, and it's still in a youthful stage. This wine is considerably denser than that was back in the day. So I know this wine has an incredible life in front of it, but already the complexity and sophistication of this is a wine where if I got 3 bottles, I'd be honest, I'd open my first one within 3 or 4 months and then let that tasting guide me based on my palate. This wine sings. Its best days are easily ahead of it. It's approachable, but in a perfect world, you lock this away for 5 years and then start to think about opening it and experiencing something that's so absolutely singular. It's got the power of 2021. It's got the textures of Dr. Crane. This is incredibly complete. This is a wine we're going to savor. Closing thoughts on it, Theo? If you had to wrap up Dr. Crane in 1 or 2 sentences, what would it be?
It's one of a kind. It's a beautiful collector's item, something that you need in your cellar. 2021, I think, is the best Dr. Crane we've made so far, in the 3rd vintage of it. Absolutely brilliant, dark, rich, ageable. Enjoy it 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. Gorgeous.
Theo will do everything within her power to get you as much Dr. Crane as humanly possible, but 75 cases. She's the one to call.
I'll do
love
the best
us and
I can.
Dr. Crane.